and he could live there himself and be a king with a deadly sharp three-pronged fork, and loads of beautiful mermaids swimming around with no bras on and making him his dinner and kissing him. Maybe when he gets home, Mother will have a tart made for after the dinner, and she'll be just taking it out of the oven when he arrives. He'll eat a huge cut of it, and she'll stand behind him with a mug of tea, just a tiny drop of milk, otherwise it's ruined, Mother says, and tell him how them apples were still growing outside not even an hour ago. He'll tell her it was a lovely dinner, and she'll say, "Was it, pet? I hope it was. We need a good dinner after your hard day." These days, though, nearly always, she would have his dinner left in the oven, and it would be blistering hot or freezing cold. She sometimes left the oven on too high, or forgot to leave it on at all, and she herself would be above at the height where Daddy was buried, saying prayers and cursing at the weeds. All the prayers she was saying for him. He must be getting no respite above in heaven. Father Cotter said at his mass that there would be a fine house ready for him above, and he'd probably start to fight with the angels over the design of it, and want it knocked and built again to his own specifications. The neighbours all laughed at that. Some of them even looked at each other and smiled knowingly, sure he was a devil for exactness. You couldn't do a job right for him. Mother wasn't home. There was a shepherd's pie in the oven, at a proper temperature, covered in tinfoil, and cutlery on the table. He ate it fast and gulped a glass of milk. There was that thing on telly at 7 about holidays, and that blonde lady would be on it. Sometimes, if it was quiet enough, if Mother was out and there was no cats scratching and meowing at the window, he could imagine she was talking to him. She was his girlfriend, over in some hot place with palm trees, and he was going to be going over to join her once he'd finished building their big mansion of a house. They were talking on a special phone with a big video screen. She was describing it to him, the place where they would spend their holidays. You couldn't watch her properly when you were eating your dinner. You had to keep looking down at your plate, and then you'd miss whole seconds of her standing there with her shiny blonde hair, in her clothes that only barely covered what needed covering, and sometimes clear blue water lapping up around her bum in lucky little waves. Just as it finished, thank God, Mother arrived in. She wanted to know, was it busy below? What kind of form was Packy in? Any word of the Scottish lady? Packy's eldest daughter was supposed to have eloped to Scotland with a foreign fella. She was now referred to as the Scottish lady. Like a man who went to work in America for a year or two, would forevermore be known as the Yank. Packy's daughter used to hang around the co-op some Saturdays, letting on to be helping. All Johnsey ever saw her at was inspecting her fingernails and chewing gum and pressing buttons on her mobile phone. She never really looked at him or talked to him, except once she offered him a Rolo and he said okay. Why did you say okay, you spa? And she held the packet out to him, and the blasted Rolo got stuck in the packet, and his hand shook like crazy, and the Rolo was nearly melted before he got it out, and now he could feel his cheeks burning hot again just thinking about it. Packy had had no time for foreigners before the big elopement, but now he had a special hatred for them. You could nearly feel a heat off of it as it burned inside in him. You'd see them now sometimes, brown-faced people, or even proper blacks, driving through the village, on their way to town to cheat the system, according to Packy. Sure, 'tis a great country. If they were outside the co-op at the time, bringing in a delivery or something, Packy would nudge him and point with a tip of his forehead. There'd be a wicked shine from his eyes, and it was then you could nearly feel that heat. Like Packy's soul was already burning in eternal fire for the sins he was committing in his mind. The foreigners might look back, but you could see nothing in their eyes to give away what they were thinking. They're probably Hutus, Johnsey, Packy would say. He'd spit the words out like you would something you coughed up from your lungs. Probably they killed a rake of Tutsis and are over here now hiding. Johnsey would laugh and agree away with him, and a picture of the Dole boys laughing at Eugene Penrose's stupid jokes would form in his mind, and he'd feel sad and ashamed of himself. What, in the name of God, were a Tutsi and a Hutu anyway? They never stopped.